Conversation. This is the Lagos segment of the program, and today we're taking a look at something that, of course, everyone gets affected by this particular topic, whether you live in Lagos, whether you live in Rivers, whether you live in Osun. At some point in time, you will need to deal with stress and or anxiety. Are there things that predisposes us as humans to stress and anxiety, especially now that a lot of people are hungry and they are angry? Can this be stressful? Are there lifestyle issues that could also make us go through some of these issues? Stress generally, and then sometimes you ask, what exactly is stress? Why are you susceptible to stress? Why are you anxious? Why can't you sleep? These are some of the questions that hopefully at the end of this conversation we'll be able to provide answers to. We do have a guest in the studio this morning. She's a clinical psychologist, and together Joshua and I will take us through this session. And before we came on, Joshua said, this is a topic I want to talk about. I don't know what is stressing him or why he's anxious.
I'm going through a lot.
He's gathering money for school fees. So, good morning, Abisola Adeleke, for finding time. Thank you for finding time to be here with us this morning. So, you said licensed clinical psychologist. So, the licensed.
Yes, very important.
Why is it very important?
We have an association. We have a clinical psychology association. So before you can practice, you need a license to practice. And that is why the license is in front.
Oh, so if we had removed license, we would have done you a great disservice.
Yes.
We should promote the
No, we'll just call you psychologist.
You can just call me psychologist, but it's important that
we know that you're licensed.
Well, what's the difference? Why?
It's not easy to get your license.
To get the license. It's not easy to become a clinical psychologist. Of course. So the license is what enables you to be able to practice, because without the license, you can't associate with this. With the association. We have Nigerian Association of Clinical Psychologists, so it's important to have a license before you can practice as one.
Because we have a lot of people who also who are clinical psychologists, and then they take on the practice without necessarily being licensed, right?
Yeah, there are people like that, but it's important if you want to be recognized as part of this association, because there are other benefits you get being a part of this association. It's not just about you practicing. There are some issues. We have confidentiality issues and all of those things, rules and regulations that you need to follow as a clinical psychologist, just like a medical doctor.
Right.
There is a license you need to get
obtain
before you can practice. So that is why it's important to get your license.
All right. So, she's clarified why it's important to be licensed as a clinical psychologist. So, let's talk about stress.
Okay.
Now, usually everybody, when you ask people, oh, how are you? I'm stressed. I'm stressed. So sometimes you want to ask, do people really understand what stress is really all about? Or we just assume that because I am tired, then I am stressed. So what exactly is stress?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. I will start by trying to define what stress is, and then to do a little bit of reorientation for our viewers on what stress is all about.
Okay.
Yes, stress. I usually tell people that stress is a normal part of human being. As long as you're human and you're doing something, you understand, you will definitely experience some certain level of stress. So now, like I said, stress is a normal response. It's your body activating response to a stressor, to a demand. Okay, stress serves a function, and that function is performance.
Okay.
Yes, it is activating your body to respond to a certain situation, a certain event.
Okay.
And the reason why a lot of people, anytime they hear stress and anxiety, is because there is this negative connotation around stress and anxiety. And most of the time, triggers of stress, or should I say stressors, are not necessarily negative.
Okay.
You can have positive stress, and then you can have negative stress.
Okay.
Like the positive stress is called the eustress. For example, you're preparing for an exam.
Okay.
That's a positive stressor because it's helping you to move to a next level in your life.
Right.
And the moment that thing, you've written the exam, you read for your exam, the stressor is out, then you're out of that stress. So, and it's always short term. You understand? So we have positive, we have negative. But boys, there's this idea about, stress and anxiety that when people say stress stress, they see it as bad experience that they need to avoid. They see it as just negative.
Okay.
But stress is more than that. Stress activates you. It makes you want to perform. It makes you want to act. It makes you want to solve a solution or something that just needs your action and attention.
Okay.
That is a stressor.
So it's safe to say that stress is part of life.
It's part of life. You can avoid it, because as long as you're doing something that involves your mind,
thoughts.
that involves your thoughts, that involves your emotion, that involves your physical activity, then you're responding to something.
Okay, I'm sure as the conversation continues, we'll then probably narrow it down to the negative stress, because
Okay.
again, you've talked about the facts that there could be positive
And there could be negative.
So what's the difference between the stress and pressure?
Stress and what?
Pressure.
Pressure. Okay, stress. Pressure is a part of the feeling you get when you experience stress.
Okay, so it's an offshoot of
Yes,
stress.
it's an offshoot of stress. Like, let's say, for example, you want to get married. There's a set date. So, of course, you go through some process in planning your wedding, or your child is going to school. There's something important, or you have a deadline at work. So, the deadline is giving you pressure to perform, to respond to that task you want to give. So, it's more like part of the feeling you get or you experience when you're responding to a stressful situation.
So at what point
Okay.
does it cross over from just stress that begins to affect your physical well-being? At what point does stress become no longer a positive thing and begins to weigh down your physical and mental health?
Okay, so that takes me to the type of stress that we have. We have what we call acute, and we have chronic. Chronic stress is the one that is very problematic,
Okay.
that kills your mental health, that destroys your mental health. The acute stress is more of like short term, just like you have a presentation. I'm coming here, I experience a certain level of stress before getting here, traffic and all of those things. That's a stressor for me, but it's just usually short term. And once the stressor is out of the way, the stress disappeared. But for chronic stress, when it becomes persistent, excessive, long-lasting, you always take, especially when you experience a certain level of stress, because we have a DSM-4, we have our diagnostic manual in which we use to diagnose a certain mental illness. So one of the criteria is you must experience a certain level of stress, let's say headache, fatigue, and all of those symptoms for more than a month. That's number one. Okay. If it is excessive, if it is prolonged, if it is, and even when the stressor is no longer there, you are still experiencing that stress. That is when it becomes a problem, and that's when you need to seek help.
Right.
So stress is a normal thing, but when it becomes excessive, when it becomes prolonged, most importantly, when it's affecting your daily activities, you can't concentrate, you can't do anything, you are disturbed, and all of those things, that is when you should seek help. That's
So when you're stressed, are you anxious at the same time?
Yes.
Or can you just experience anxiety without being stressed?
Of course, you can experience anxiety without being stressed. But the reality about is stress and anxiety are interconnected.
Okay.
So sometimes anxiety is a response to stress. Sometimes it is a response to stress. Let's say, for example, you are being attacked. Your body is getting ready. There's something we call stress response. So when you are stressed or when you face a stressful situation, there's some hormones that are released in your system, the cortisol and adrenaline, that cause stress response. Prepare your body to either fight or run. Okay. You understand? So in that space, there's some anxiety is internal, stress is external. Okay. So there's a feeling you get. And anxiety is described with the feeling of worry, nervousness, and apprehension. So, like I said, sometimes anxiety can be a response to stress, depending on the situation or the nature of stress you're experiencing.
For me, I'm beginning to perhaps model them together, because you can't be in Nigeria. You are constantly anxious. You are constantly under stress. At one point, I had what we call Fisher palsy, because I didn't even know what happened, because I didn't know I was even under stress. It was later when I had to go through physiotherapy half of my, and I had to say, please go home, go and rest. Sort yourself out before you come back. I didn't know I was being under stress, and we have so many people like that. I mean, half of my face was down. I had face, and it was very funny at that time because I was wondering, like, is this how my young life is just going to go like that? Am I going to suffer from disability? Because so many people are going through stress. So what are the triggers? What should one watch out for? At what point do you realize that it's now chronic, it's now becoming something dangerous to your health? Because you've told us it is a good thing. Stress is something that actually helps you to function very well at work. At what point does it become
At the same
violent?
time, yes, don't get me wrong, I said stress is a part of life and it's a motivating energy. But at the same time, like I said earlier, when it is excessive, when it is prolonged, and when it is interfering with your daily life, like functioning, for example, lack of concentration, burnout, all those symptoms. When you're seeing all those symptoms, and then you try all the possible strategies that I believe we're still going to talk about here, and you're still feeling that stress or anxiety, then it means you're tending towards chronic stress. And in that way, you already need help. You either seek a professional that can help you, a better way to manage it.
It's anxiety you're causing when you say seek help, because we have not even eaten. You're asking us to seek help. That is also stressful.
It's a stressor.
It is a stressor. Yes.
Okay, when I say seek help,
Yes.
I hope you know that there are some agency in Lagos that you can walk up to and then seek help. And sometimes when I say seek help, it doesn't necessarily have to be more of professional help. It could be social connection. You understand? A lot of times we go through so much and then we just repress it. We don't talk about
Bottle
it.
things inside.
Yes, you just bottle it up. Talking is a therapy. When you talk to people that you trust, that you understand, spend time with loved ones. It's more like seeking help. You are connecting with people that understand. There's something we call group therapy in psychology, where people that are experiencing the same thing, they come together and they share their experience and how they are able to overcome that particular issue. So seeking help doesn't necessarily have to be okay. You have to look for somebody that you're going to pay. We have Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency. We have psychologists there. If you walk in there, you need a free therapy. You're not paying for it. It's free. And there's some organizations.
That was just an aside. I was just trying to draw the attention that when you say seek help, that can be.
So seek help is not necessarily you. I understand you've not eaten and then you want to go and pay a psychologist. Yes, yes. Seek help. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody that you know can understand. It could be somebody that is older than you or somebody that is in the field. You can have friends. There's some friends that you talk to. And then when you talk to them, you feel better. You feel good.
Let me
Just know what works for you.
Okay.
Know what works for you.
Let me ride on the question asked earlier by Josh, and that is, how do you identify when you actually have a problem? A lot of people do not even know themselves. They do not even understand how their body works. And so you understand the facts that, yes, I have headache today. Tomorrow I have the same headache. Somebody might think, and they ask you, say, it's a migraine that I have. You haven't gone to a doctor, but you're doing self-prescription for yourself. And it could just be some level of stress. So when you're looking for triggers, what are those things that you are looking out for so that you at least know that there's probably something going on with me that I should take care of? I'll give an example. When I don't sleep well for 2 or 3 nights, I know there's a problem.
That's it.
Because I know myself.
You already answered the question.
Because I know myself. But some, they'll just say, well, I'm not sleeping.
It's because they don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
And like you said, that's part of the thing I actually wanted to discuss in this segment. Yeah, there's something we call self-awareness, self-consciousness. Know yourself. And then in knowing yourself, do not ignore something. Because when you are stressed,
as
of course,
small as it
as
is.
small as headache, you don't ignore. Okay, fine, you can have a headache now, and then you take paracetamol, and then you're gone. And the headache is gone. And then a few minutes later,
it comes back.
You are in that space again, and the headache comes back. And it's not normal. That's when you need to know your capacity. A lot of us, we do more than what we can.
Our body can take.
So as an individual, you have to be self-aware. You have to know your mental,
Capacity.
your emotional capacity, and then your physical capacity. When you're going beyond what your body can take,
Your body will revolt.
your body will definitely. That's it. So that's how you understand, and then you know that, okay, I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Let me watch it. Let me take corrections, or let me, change my lifestyle and all of those.
When you realize that your body is rejecting something, or you realize that, what do you do? What do you do immediately?
Okay, so that takes us to the strategies in managing or coping with stress. So let's say, for example, now you are a supervisor in the office. Okay, let me use myself as an example. I was given a role of recent, and I already have some other things on my table that I have not even, finished. What I did was I only declined the role. And this role is a role that everybody, they
scampering
want.
for.
You understand? But now at this stage, it's not about me trying to prove myself or competing or trying to show what I can do at the detriment of my own mental health. I had to decline. So there are some decisions you have to make if you really want to live a healthy life, or you want to have a healthy mental life. So there are some decisions you have to make. Sometimes it's about declining a role, it's about working out, taking a break, go on leave, spend time with loved ones, spend time with nature, exercise, take a walk. Those are the things that you can help, that you can do, that can help you relieve stress at that instance. There's some day-to-day activities. Some people, I have a friend that doesn't sleep at 1 a.m. does not sleep until like 1 a.m. You watch TV to 1 a.m., you press the phone to 1 a.m., and you are lying down. Do you know this thing happens? You can be lying down on your bed and you are sleeping, but your mind is working. These are the things that you have to watch out for. If you are not careful, you break down mentally. And that's the reality. So there are some decisions you have to make. You have to just live a healthy lifestyle to help you.
So
manage
we still
stress.
have these issues around mental health in this part of the world where when you talk about mental health, you hear, Olomaje. And so you say, but you need to seek help. You need to speak with someone, and then you say, no, I'm not going mad. So why would I want to speak with a psychologist, or why would I want to speak with someone? Why would I want to share, my innermost issues with someone that I do not know? So how do we get to that space where a lot of people will begin to realize that speaking with someone is not alien, but it's part of seeking help. It's part of therapy. Like you said, talking is therapeutic.
Yes.
Finding somebody to listen to you is something that you want to make do often, because it relieves some kind of stress. So how do we begin to get into people's mind to open up more? So that they can be in that space where their mental health is intact?
Okay, first of all, let me address the issue of when people hear mental health, the next thing is, I'm not mad, I'm not a mad person. So to our viewers, mental health does not mean that you're mad. Mental health is just, it has to do with your emotional well-being. What is well-being? You living a healthy life, no. So mental health has to do with your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, your psychological well-being. You balanced, because health is not just about you. Okay, I'm fine. I don't have I don't have cancer, or okay, I don't have IBP. It's more than just the physical health. It also, when you're healthy, you also have to, as long as you're physically healthy, you also have to be mentally healthy. So when people hear about mental health, the reason why they don't want to talk, or they don't want to, or when you refer them to go and see the psychologist, they say, now. Psychologist is different from psychiatrist.
Right. So a lot of people
do you understand?
do not understand
yes,
that.
so they don't understand. Psychology, what we do is more of a talking therapy. Practical steps to help you live a healthy life, to have a better life. While psychiatrists, they focus more on medications. But psychologists focus more on therapy, interventions, practical intervention, practical steps. But psychiatrist is more of medicine. So when they say talk to a psychiatrist, or talk to somebody, or talk to a professional, doesn't mean that they're sending you to Yabale to admit you. So so that answers the question.
I think if you take a poll of Lagos, of Lagos residents, from what we see on a daily basis, about 80% are going through one stress or anxiety or the other. And I'm sure I don't think you have enough clients on your hands enough to think that that captures the enormity of the number of people that really need help.
People are really coming out these days.
These
You won't believe.
Because that's where I'm going to.
Yeah.
Lagos naturally gives you stress.
Stress.
When you come to Lagos, you say, welcome, stress, you are
Welcome
welcome.
to stress and
Welcome
anxiety.
to stress and anxiety. Because you can see the frustration
Of
when you
course,
enter the
it's
bus. When you are
everywhere.
driving in Lagos, you can see the person close to you say, this one, something must be wrong with this one. The way this one is driving,
As in,
something is not really feeling good.
Even if you don't want to stress
Yeah.
yourself, something will stress you.
So and come to think of it, about 3-point-something million worldwide now die from suicide, considering that the men now, they think that they have no alternative to resolving what they're going through, so they decide to commit suicide. And I've not gone to the women part. I'm just talking about men here, perhaps because Father's Day will just finish now. So we're still focusing on men. But the reality is, how do we address the issue of mental health or stress in a state like Lagos,
Okay.
where the conductor, without prompting,
It's a stressor.
It's a stressor.
stresses unprovoked
Unprovoked, yes.
and abuse your parents, and just like that triggers so many anger, and you find mature people. In fact, this morning as I was coming to, I just saw the man just parked his car. He just went. The car didn't even touch each other. The man just came down from this. I was stressed from behind. Mo ní mo fẹ́ dé office before it. You cannot do this to me. And how do you handle a state that is volatile,
Stress.
induced, or is
It's a stress-inducing state.
So how do we do this?
So first of all, let's understand that whether you're in Lagos or you're outside Lagos, whether you are meeting conductor, you are not meeting conductor, it could be in marketplace, it could be anywhere, it could be at work, definitely something will provoke you, something will stress you out. Now, what I usually tell people is, let's take for an example, you're going to work, like you said, and there's traffic and you're supposed to get to work 8 a.m. Can you control that traffic? Do you have control over that traffic? Now, what I'm trying to say is that you don't have control over how the conductor wants to behave or react to you. You don't have control. But what you have control over, you have control over how you respond to the conductor's behavior towards you. That is the answer. So now what I tell my clients is, because I get this a lot, focus on what you have control over. Do not focus on the situation, because the more you focus on this stressor and this trigger and that conductor that is disturbing you, the more stressed you become, and you don't want to be that. So what I do in situations like that, let's say for example I'm going to work this issue of traffic, because traffic is a big time stressor in Lagos State. I tell people you cannot control how the other driver will enter, or conductor or drivers will, or all these yellow buses people will just block the road and cause traffic and all of that. But in that kind of situation, you can control how you want to respond. How are you responding to it?
Okay.
It is because this is about you. This is not about them. So you have to look out for yourself. You have to control your emotions at that time. You have to work on yourself. Control what you focus on what you can control. What I do when I'm in traffic is I listen to music. Do you know music is therapeutic? You can listen to music. Just anything that can divert your attention, because the fact is you cannot control their actions. You don't have control over a grown-up adult that decided to behave like a mad person on the street. You don't. But you have control over what? Over your own self.
Okay.
How do you respond? And that takes me to the two types of response channel that I actually wanted to talk about that a lot of people don't know. Some people, you say that they're stressed, the next thing they're taking alcohol. We have adaptive response channel and we have maladaptive. So the adaptive is the positive coping mechanisms and the maladaptive is the negative coping mechanism. So you can take a walk. Part of the positive coping mechanism is you can take a walk. You can take a break. You can do some small exercise. Like in the office now, as you're here, of course, you're stressed to a certain level. You're tired. I want to take a break. You want to stretch your body. Those are coping mechanisms. And when you do that, you can even do deep breathing exercises. Right. There are some deep breathing exercises that you do and then you sleep off. It's not normal breathing that we are doing like this. You do it and then you sleep off and then you feel relaxed. So back to your question, you can't control what people do. You can't control the nature of Lagos State, but you can control
how you respond.
And that is the answer to that question.
So there's anxiety disorder. How do you know when you do have anxiety disorder, and is this something that you can overcome?
Yes, of course. Anxiety Okay, anxiety is different from anxiety disorder, but a lot of people used to mix it.
Okay.
Anxiety is just, and you being worried, worried about something, nervous about something, and when that thing is resolved, it goes.
You're okay.
The difference between the disorder and the one that is not a disorder is once that trigger is out, for the
You're
one that
fine.
is normal, you're fine. But once the trigger is out, you're still having anxiety. That is when it becomes a disorder. And don't forget, anxiety is more internal. The feeling of worry, apprehension, fear. It's more it has to do with an internal factor, fear, all of those things. And once these symptoms or once this feeling begin to, affect or negatively impact your daily activity, you can't concentrate. Whether there's a trigger or there's no trigger, you're necessarily scared, agitated, and all those things. That is when it becomes a disorder. And like I said, we have a manual, a guideline that we follow to actually determine whether it is a disorder. So naturally speaking, you can't just say this person has anxiety disorder. The person needs to see a professional, and then we assess the person because before with the symptoms we're seeing, and the length or how long this thing has been facing it, and before we can now say, okay, this person has anxiety disorder. So it's a process. You can't just look at somebody and say, oh, this person has anxiety disorder. It might not be anxiety disorder. You have to follow the normal, the professional, yes.
So English. Now, I really need to know, because the situation where you're anxious about whether you have food on your table or not, you don't know how you're going to pay school fees, do you think the best coping mechanism is to, like you said, I'm just following you, like with what I can't control, I just say, okay, since I can't control this one, school, hold on, I'll pay when I want to pay.
Of course.
Or we just say all of us just go for therapy, so that we just we'll finding peace.
That your way out is not working.
Yes, of course.
We'll be finding peace with our therapist or with our coping mechanism techniques, as against facing our problem and stress our stress. Don't you think that's the way to go?
Yeah, you can see, like I said, there are some situations whereby you need to face the stressor and resolve it. And there's some things that you cannot, so fine. In managing stress, I want to say something. The first thing you have to do is to identify the stressors. Now, I'm coming to your question. Identify the stressors. When you identify your stressors, you group it into 3 groups. The ones that has practical solutions. Get it? Identify the stressors, A, B, C. Which one has a practical solution? Which of these can I, take a step, and when I take a step about it, there's some things I can do to resolve it. And then the second group of stressor or trigger is those ones that, with time, they will resolve it themselves. Whether you do anything, whether you don't do anything, they would settle themselves. And the third group is the group whereby there's nothing you will do. It has to be like that. You can't do anything about it. Do you understand? So when you identify, yes, so when you identify, not like you're living with it, when you identify the stressors, put them in this 3 group. So what do you do to reduce your stress level is, now, focus on the one that has practical solutions. If you're hungry, or you don't have food to eat, or you want to pay your school fees, what are the practical steps you think you can take
to pay your school fees?
Throwing the question to you. You think you can take to pay that school fees?
That's right.
If it is
you
something,
can't run away from paying
if you
school
can't,
fees.
because you cannot. It's not all stress and anxiety that you avoid. There's some that needs to be resolved.
Right.
There's some you have to take practical steps to resolve. And then the number 2 and 3, the one that would, of course, resolve itself, and the one that there's nothing you can do about it. You don't focus. It's still back to focusing your attention.
So we need to take on that stress. That's what you are saying now. Because
you have to.
School,
you have to take it
You
on.
have to take it on and face it. What are the practical steps? Do you have people that you can call that can assist? Those are the practical steps.
they are under stress. Those people are under
just give
stress.
it a try. You have to do something. It is when you have done something and you see that there's nothing you can do again, you've exhausted all your options. That's when you can also say, okay, let me give up on this. But giving up is not the major thing. But what we are trying to say is that there's some things that you just have to let go.
Okay.
There's some things you just have to let go so you don't overburden yourself with unnecessary things.
So when you talk about stress and anxiety, is it age-related? Can children also face... Because you wonder, why would a child be stressed? I am the one providing the food. and every other. So why would you be stressed? What could be stressing
Now,
you?
back to what I explained the other time. Let us not just see stress and anxiety as negative, negative, negative,
So
negative.
yes, you see the positive side of it.
Stress can come from a positive situation or a positive event.
Okay.
It's like your child is stressed. Your child is going to school every day. You think it's easy to read and understand and then pass your exam. It's a certain level of stress you have to go through to do that. When you play too much, are you not stressed?
They will sleep on time.
But before they sleep on time, there's a certain level of exhaustion that they have, like by playing. You understand? And some, it might just be from school. It could be school-related activity.
Okay.
It could be a subject. So don't just overlook. When children tell you, "Mommy, I'm stressed," no, don't shut them down.
Okay.
For a child to
Because
tell you, "I'm stressed."
I wonder, why would, a child say that I'm stressed? Like, what do you understand that is stress? That
So you
you're saying
can't
that you're stressed?
compare your everyday life,
With
what you go through, with what children go through. Just
So
they
when
have
you are trying
that
to
stress.
correct a child or a Gen Z, for that matter, that you work with, and you say like you shouldn't be coming here, like, and the person tells you, "Or why are you dressed like this?" Or why are you know, and says you are
stressing me out.
You are stressing
They
me
don't
out.
understand what it means to be stressed. They are
so they
abusing it.
misuse
They're abusing it.
Right.
Somebody is correcting you to do better. You are saying the person is stressing. How is that stress?
They're affecting my mental health. My mental
They
health.
don't
The way they even
understand.
use
See,
mental health right now.
people just misuse that mental health. Since people have been aware of, okay, mental, they just misuse, they just use it anyhow. You are stressing me out. Okay, you're supposed to be at work by 8 o'clock. You do not get to work 8 o'clock. Your boss give you a query. It is, sensible of you to, put your case towards your boss. This is it. Not like this boss does not even understand what Lagos State is all about. There's traffic and stressing me out. Of course, if you don't want to be stressed out, then you leave the job. You walk out of the job. It's a normal thing. So you can't say because somebody is questioning you or somebody is asking you to do the right thing, and then you're saying that's not stress. That's misuse of the term
Of the word.
stress.
Okay,
Yes.
so as we begin to wrap up this conversation, can we quickly go over lifestyles, everyday lifestyle that can help you relieve stress and anxiety?
Yeah, everyday lifestyle. Before I go into everyday lifestyle, let's know that all that we've discussed about stress and all of those things, chronic and all of those things. Once we discuss about this lifestyle, if you have tried all this lifestyle and you're still feeling some certain level of anxiety and stress is not going,
You need to see
the most important
psychologist.
thing is to seek help.
Okay.
Seek help. That's very important. Now, some of the lifestyle changes you can adapt to help you manage stresses. Like I said earlier, number one is identify your stressors and then regroup it, and then know how to group it, and then the ones you can practical solutions, go about it. The one you cannot handle, just let it go. It will resolve itself. Another thing is, like I said, some people manage stress on LD way, on LD coping mechanism, smoking and all of those things, over drinking. They believe that, when
Once I drink, I forget about
so
it.
that is an unhealthy way of managing stress. It will not only, make the stress remain, it will add
to the stress.
because most of these drinks are stimulant. Some people, it's coffee. Coffee. Some people will just take coffee and keep taking. And you can become dependent. Addictive to it. So these are some of the things that people do. So, and the positive way of managing stress is, number one is exercise. You can engage in physical exercise, and I said something the other time, I said deep breathing exercise. So physical exercise, let's say you're at work now, you can stretch your body, you can take a walk. You don't necessarily have to go to the gym. If you can afford to go to the gym, fine. Because exercise have been proven to help to aid with sleep and make your body feel relaxed. So exercise, mindfulness. Mindfulness is another practice that will help you manage stress. Mindfulness is all about you focusing on the present and worrying less about the past or the future. So what is happening to you right now? What is this? What is happening to you? Just focus on the now. Another thing I usually tell people is don't take on too much. Celebrate your little successes. We put ourselves so much on the head, just set unrealistic goals and expectations, and then when you don't meet them,
there's a
You break
problem.
down.
So if you don't stress yourself, you can't really achieve much. It's like being not being ambitious when you say just focus on your immediate, when you should be thinking about the bigger picture, having a
course.
bigger picture in
Of
hand,
course,
and
you should
working
do
towards
that.
putting yourself under positive stress that will
Of course, if
triggers
you don't look at the bigger picture, you'll not be here where you are today. You understand? You won't
But
have achieved
don't
what you've
focus too
achieved.
much on it.
Eh?
And don't focus too much on tomorrow.
Don't take one step at
At a
a
time.
time. You know, there's this thing about multitasking. I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do that. It has its own side effects. Take a step at a time. You're in the university. Think about that university now that you are. How to pass your course, how to go from one level to... You know, when you're in university, you don't just jump from 100 level to 400 level. Of course, 100 level, 200 level, there is a step. Take one step at a time. You can't do everything at once. If you do that, you are causing more harm than good to your body.
As we go this morning, is it expensive to engage the services of a clinical psychologist?
expensive.
Is it very affordable?
Extremely affordable. Very, very affordable.
It's the smile for me. Oh. She's
Yeah,
smiling like,
yeah.
hey, Timon.
No, it's very affordable.
It's very
And we cannot
affordable.
afford it. There are free services out there. that
Free
you can-
services in
Yes.
some Lagos State agencies.
Yes.
All right, we'll have to leave this conversation here today, but the key thing is know your body, know yourself,
Yes.
identify your stress level, and if you cannot handle them immediately, seek help.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Abisola Adeleke, licensed clinical psychologist, for finding
That's
time
nice.
to educate
Important.
us on the program today. It's been exciting speaking with you.
Thank you. I
so
hope
much.
I've been able to,
More
help the viewers.
than.
To relieve my stress.
We'll take a quick break. The conversation returns shortly.